Hello, my name is Laurel Rutledge. I am the CEO of LaurelRutledge.com, the creator of the Rutledge Perspective podcast, and now I am the host of the Rutledge Perspective on KCOH TV, The Boost, and I am so excited. My background in human resources and also in business and consulting has given me the opportunity to share information with all of you, and what we're going to do is talk about the foundational pieces, whether or not you're building a business or you're building a career. It all comes down to strategy and people. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know who needs to be on your team? So please join me, join in the conversation, catch the show both on the radio, on the app, and also on Facebook. And I will be on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to seeing you there. Hello, hello, hello. It's Tuesday. Talk It Out Tuesday with me and Jerry P. I am excited to be here again, as always. Remember my vote pen. My vote pen today. So that always makes me happy. And we're going to be talking about wisdom. But first, I got a little bit longer PSAs today because that's what happened that's what happens sometimes. People start talking, you start seeing some things, you start watching the news, you start doing all this kind of crazy stuff, and things happen, and it brings a thought to your mind, and you feel like you just got to say something. So, PSAs. Don't forget your census. You still have time to do your census, but probably not much longer. They're going to cut off the in-person counting early. So please get counted. Please get counted. It is important that we get counted. So fill out your census. Before I do that, good morning, Sherry in St. Louis. Good morning, Germany, or good afternoon, Germany. Good morning, California, Detroit, and Beaumont, Texas. Welcome, y'all.
Cleveland, Texas.
And Cleveland, Texas. Thank y'all so much for being here. So make sure you count your census. Okay, let's talk voting. Because y'all know, if you've been listening to me, I love to vote. I love to vote. There are a few days that are happier for me than voting day. I love voting day. And this year, I will be here with Jerry on voting day because I'm going to vote early. Normally, I vote on voting day, but I'm going to vote early. So I can be here with Jerry on voting day. So here's the thing I need you guys to be thinking about, and this is what it means to be wise, and to really pay attention. I posted something today that said, you will never reach your destination if you don't stop throwing rocks at every barking dog. Now, when you think about all the stuff that's being said right now and all the information that's out there that's not really information, all the information that's burying facts, we got a lot of barking dogs going on right now. And I need you all to be so concerned and so proud and so determined to vote and to have your vote count that you go get good, accurate information. That's what I need you to do, okay? So here's the thing. There's a difference between absentee voting and mail-in voting. There's a difference. So the absentee voting is really those people who are going to be absent during the time to vote. So you request an absentee ballot so you can vote. Mail-in votes, you can say, I can't mail in. I want to mail in my vote because I can't get to the polls. Older people, if you're over 65, I believe it is, you can do a mail-in vote so you don't have to go to the polls. Those kind of things. Those are two different things. But here's the thing to be mindful of. One, most states appear right now to be extending the early voting period, which is fantastic. So it could be that there's plenty of time for you to actually physically go vote. Mask up, glove up, all that kind of stuff, and go vote. Leela in California, Carlsbad, is saying actually in California, you can track your ballot in California. And she gave the website, so I'll make sure that's up. That's on my Facebook Live. I'll send it to Jerry so she can put it on hers. So if you're in California, you can actually track your ballot. So there's going to be plenty of time, I believe, in most states to vote early. And people are being careful. Or they're trying to be. Most people, the reasonable people, are being careful. So glove up, mask up. Somebody posted a whole list that was like, take your chair, take your snacks, take your water, take your earbuds. Take your phone, take your extra chargers, take your umbrella, take all the stuff, pack like you're going on a picnic, and go get in line to vote. Just make sure you have everything there so you are comfortable and you can stay for the long haul. And the lines are going to look longer now because they are socially distancing people in line. So don't get fooled by thinking, oh my gosh, the lines are just way too long. One, I want the lines to be long because that means people are voting. But two, they are going to look longer because there's going to be more space between people. Okay? So please double check with your city, your county, your state for the early voting period. Like Texas, ours is expanded from 2 weeks to 3. So we do have a chance to vote early, a longer period of time to vote early. Make sure you registered. In fact, if you have not done so, go check today. Go check today and make sure you're registered. Why not? What else you got to do that's more important? Nothing. Go check today and make sure you're registered. Now, mail-in voting. As Leila said, in California, you can track your ballot in California. I don't think we can track our ballots in Texas, but I'm going to look that up. I meant to do that, and I didn't. Here's the thing about mail-in ballots. We got all this stuff going on with the Postal Service. Some may be true, some may be not. Here's the thing. At this point, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is ensuring your vote counts. So doing whatever you need to do to ensure your vote is counted. That means make sure you find out how early you have to request a mail-in ballot. Find out how early you have to request a mail-in ballot. When you get your mail-in ballot, and even as you apply for it, find out, other than mailing it, how else you can turn in your mail-in ballot. And contrary to popular belief, you cannot necessarily just take your mail-in ballot to the polling place. If you take your mail-in ballot to the polling place, sometimes they're asking you to take that to the polling place so they can destroy it so you can vote at the polling place. They don't want you to cast 2 votes, which makes sense, right? That's fraud. So don't just assume that you can take your mail-in ballot to the polling place and it will be counted. Most of the time when if you want to present your ballot in person, it is to the registrar's office or the Board of Elections or something like that. So please, please, please do your research, and do your research with a place that's reputable. Go to your county registrar's office, go online or call them and ask, get it in writing, find out what you're supposed to do. Okay? So if you decide to mail in your ballot, make sure you know where to mail it in, when it has to be mailed in, and how long, if you think it's going to take if you decide to use the mail. Also, double check the envelope. In some cases, you have to actually sign the envelope for your mail-in ballot. If it is not signed, if you put check marks where you're supposed to put bubbles, if you put X's where you're supposed to put check marks, all of that kind of stuff can negate your ballot. Please, 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 please read and double check, okay? And figure out what it is you need to do to ensure that your vote is counted. And please know, while I do have an opinion and a perspective on stuff, I am talking to you as a bipartisan person. Because the reality is everybody has the right to vote. And you should not let anybody take that right from you, okay? So make sure that you do everything you need to do on that ballot, the signature, how you fill it out, all those kind of stuff, all those kind of things. Don't vote too many times for people, all that kind of stuff, right? Pay attention and read carefully. When you get ready to submit it, if you decide to submit it by mail, read the envelope carefully. Is it an envelope that is prepaid postage so you don't need a stamp? I got to say, sometimes people are like, put a stamp on it anyway, just to be careful, right? Mm. Just don't cover up the place that says prepaid postage, right? Does it already have a prepaid postage on it? Or does it take extra postage to get it through? Y'all, wisdom. It is wise to do your own research, right? To learn what you need to do and then to implement what it is you learned. That's what wisdom is. Wisdom is implementing the learning. Okay? So, voting. 1, go vote. Go vote. Well, 1 is educate yourself on who's running and what the issues are. 2, go vote. 3, vote early if you possibly can and in person. That's one way to help ensure that your vote is actually counted. Although you got to watch those polling stations too. 4, if you decide to vote by mail, Make sure that you understand what the process is, that you get it in on time, that you get your ballot in time, and then you can mail it back on time. If you decide to get a mail-in ballot and then submit it in person, most of the time you have to submit it in person. Make sure you understand where you have to do that. Okay? So please, y'all, this is important. I don't know that, at least in my lifetime, that there's ever been a more important vote. So please, 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 please. Can I say please one more time? Please. Please vote. Okay. We did, so if you guys saw the posting on the website, you heard me talk about it last week. I had the first night of my 5 Secret Summit last night. It was really cool. We had a good time. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But here's the deal. If you missed it, you can still register because we are recording it so you can get the replay of the first 2 secrets.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you what they are. But you can go get the replay of the first 2 secrets. We're doing 2 more tonight. 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central. 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central. You can register at laurelrutledge.com/summit. Okay, it's good stuff, y'all. I'm just saying. And here's the deal. I'm doing this one now at the end of August. In the first part of October, this is the business edition. In October, I'm doing the same thing, but it's going to be the career edition. So there are 5 things you need to know for the career edition too. So we're going to do that in October. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably start promoting that mid-September, around the 21st or so. We'll start promoting that one. So laurelrutledge.com/summit, or you can text the word rebuild to 474747. That should take you to registration as well. Okay. And then I'm going to be presenting to the South Bay Businesswomen's Association tonight, which should be a lot of fun. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm excited. Good. So those of you in California, if you're in the South Bay area, I think you might be able to still register. sbbwa.com. I think it's .com. And I'll be presenting there, talking about navigating your business and career during these times. So.
Now, are you available if somebody wants to book you to come and talk?
Absolutely.
Tell them.
If you go to laurelrutledge.com, you can see my whole media section. Go to laurelrutledge.com under contact and send me a note. We can figure it out. And I'd love to get out and talk to people. I will do it by Zoom. If you are safe, as in masked up, gloved up, socially distanced, I will consider in person as well. Because I love in person, but we just got to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And if we do it the right way, then I'm cool. Right? But I love to talk to people and share knowledge. Although even after last night, we talked about this before, that whole introversion, extroversion thing. Mm-hmm. After last night, I was beat. I had to go lay down. Actually, I did my row. And here's another thing of wisdom, y'all. Okay. I have a trainer who I love dearly, but who can jack me up sometimes because she makes me think something's going to be easy and then I can't walk the next day. Because it's easy in the moment, but you don't really know which muscles you're working. And so one of the things she gave me, I've got a rower at home, one of those rowing machines at home, which I love. It's the only piece of equipment that doesn't turn into a hanger. And so she has one where you row 100 meters and then you do 50 squats and then you know another 100 meters and then you do 40 squats. So it's just counting down from 50 to 10 squats. And I thought, no big deal. But I didn't do the math. Mm-hmm. So that is basically a 500-meter row, which is not that big a deal, but it's 150 squats. Now, wisdom would have said, you might want to break that up. Or you might want to ease into those squats instead of going hard. But did I? No, I was not wise. So I've been standing up for a while, but I'm standing up today because it hurts. It hurts to sit down. So, okay, let's talk wisdom. So, as I said earlier, you'll never get to your destination if you're throwing rocks at every dog that barks. And if you think about all of the things we've been talking about, building your business, building your career, building a team, determining what your strategy is going to be, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there. If you allow all of this craziness to distract you, that is going to impact your ability to be successful. That is going to impact your ability to be successful. And there's a difference between learning and knowledge and wisdom. That learning is knowledge, right? That information that you gain, that's knowledge. Wisdom is how you implement that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is the experience you have through living.
Mm-hmm.
That's wisdom. And so don't set your wisdom aside as you begin to build a business, because you're learning. And this is a personal thing too, because as I began to build this business, I was learning so much stuff about, you know, going online and making sure my website was done and all of these kind of things, that I'm a pretty smart person. I'm pretty technically savvy, but it just wasn't stuff that I'd had to do. So it was all new learning for me, which is fine because I get bored if I'm not learning. So it was good. However, what I realized is that every once in a while I'd have a conversation with someone and I'm like, why am I having this conversation? Because I know better. I'm wiser than this. Why am I arguing about stuff that I already know? Right? Why am I arguing about stuff I already know? And so when we are looking at where we're moving and how we're moving and why we are moving, just because you are in a new situation does not mean your experience is invalid. I'm going to say that again. Just because you're in a new situation, it doesn't mean your experience is invalid. That's why we talk about in HR transferable skills, right? So I have an undergrad in accounting, I have an MBA, I've done operations, I've done consulting. I hadn't done HR technically when I finally got into HR many, many years ago, but I had transferable skills. I knew how to manage projects. I knew how to work with people. I knew how to build teams. I knew how to evaluate and set up processes. So a lot of HR is processes. And all of those things are transferable skills. And then you learn the specifics of HR on top of that. So it's the same thing with wisdom. Just because you haven't seen that specific thing before doesn't mean that your experience is invalid. This is in particular important for women. Because when we look at building a business, or we look at changing jobs, or we look at any of that kind of stuff, we have a tendency to look at everything and say, oh, I've done A, B, and F, but I haven't done any of the other stuff, so maybe I shouldn't apply. Maybe I shouldn't start that business because I've never built anything before. Okay, but what have you done? Because I got to tell you, at least the guys that I've interviewed are like, yeah, I can do that, no problem. And they've never done it before either. The difference is the level of confidence around their competence is exponentially high compared to most women. So your wisdom would say, you know what? I may not have done these 4 things, but I have lived a long time and I have experienced a lot of stuff. And there is something in that experience that is going to be relevant, that is going to give me wisdom and discernment to enable me to be successful. And I also know how to learn and love to learn, so I'll be able to learn the technical stuff, but my wisdom is going to be able to help me assimilate it all to be able to perform. So wisdom is not just something that you blow off. It's not just something that you decide is not relevant. Wisdom is always relevant. Wisdom is always relevant because we are always moving into something different. If you think about all this stuff that's happening with COVID, and look at all the people that innovated during this time, that changed what they were doing during this time. People who morphed their businesses, people who decided to completely change careers. They started learning something, but they were wise in that they used their experience to say, I have seen some of this before. So we may not have seen this pandemic like this before. We've never seen COVID-19 before. But we have seen significant challenges. We saw the bird flu. Remember that? The bird flu was supposed to kill everybody. We saw Ebola, right? Years ago, they saw polio, right? Measles. We've seen this stuff before. And wise people learn from those experiences and use that to propel them forward to make decisions. And to take the data that is new data to push on top of the experiences that they have to come up with a new plan. It's the same thing that's happening to us right now in Southeast Texas with Laura coming. And who knows what Laura's going to be by the time she gets here.
You know, when you said that, I thought about it. It's a lady that's in our group, And I saw a lot of ladies who lost their patio furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And the other lady, she came on last night and she says, well, we have today to get everything up. And
Yes.
so I'm from New Orleans, so I know what it looks like. See the trees and
Yes,
I know it looks
exactly.
beautiful outside. But that's wisdom.
Calm before the storm.
She's been through this before.
Yes.
She knows what it looks like, but it was like other people didn't take the heed.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that is not wisdom. When you have seen something before and choose to ignore it, that's not wisdom. That's a decision. And you have an option and a choice to make that decision, but you are not free from the consequences of the decisions you make. Okay?
Say that again?
You are free to make a choice, but you are not free from the consequences of the choices you make. Okay? So, if you think about, like the people with the group that Jerry's talking about is this Black women who love outdoor living spaces, and it's phenomenal. Some of the things these women are doing are just fantastic. I'm getting all kinds of ideas. All kinds of ideas. All kinds of ideas. I need a she shed.
Yes.
With a chandelier, a fandelier in the middle. Because now have you ever heard of a fandelier? We are so off topic. Fandelier. So I need a little bling in my life, right? So, my vote button. I love things that sparkle. And so I have some chandeliers, some glass things in my house because I love them. Then a friend of mine who's in one of my mastermind groups said, hey, just wanted everybody to see our fandelier. It is a chandelier that has a fan in the center.
Girl, you better hush your mouth.
I was like, I live in Texas. I need one of those. Yes, ma'am.
I was looking at the chandelier on the patio and I said, I want to take that down, but I want a ceiling fan. So you mean you can combine them?
Yes, ma'am. That just made my world so much better. Fandelier. I'm just see. You never know what you're gonna learn on the Rutledge Perspective.
Did you see what it looked like?
It's gorgeous.
Oh wow!
It had it was like really long crystals. So this one was a flat one. It was really long crystals and then flat crystals on the bottom, and the fan was inside. But I've seen some that look like the big chandeliers with hanging crystals as well. But they make them better because, of course, you got a fan, right? So you don't want the crystals falling. So yeah. Learn something new every day on Rutledge Perspective. Yeah, fandelier. Okay. I don't even know why I started. Oh, so in this same group that Jerry was talking about, when she had this woman who was like, there's one of the women in there that said, no, I've seen this before. We have time to get prepared. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, there was also a woman who posted and showed where she had tied all of her stuff down already. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that is wisdom.
Yep.
That is wisdom. I've seen this before. I know what the potential is because sometimes it's just better to be safe than sorry.
Yep.
If we get lucky and it downgrades or this high pressure thing pushes it somewhere else or whatever, then that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. But you plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Now, most people would think that's not optimistic, but that makes sense. Because I used to think, I didn't like that term.
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and here's the thing. So here's where my head goes. We are given the ability to think and make decisions. Mm-hmm. We are given free will. And again, we are not free from the consequences of the will we take, but we are given free will. And God didn't say be no fool now. You've seen this before. You know what the consequences are. You know what it takes to be safe. Just do that. Just do that. There are no guarantees. Life is not guaranteed. I could go out and be hit by a bus today. Please, Jesus, no, I'm not ready. Yeah. But those things can happen. But it doesn't keep you from being wise enough to be prepared. We've seen this before. That's why you hear people all the time talk about kids who act so wise, and they always say he's been here before or she's been here before.
Yeah.
Right? Because their ability to have a conversation with adults or to think through processes is at such a different level that you're like, man, they have to have seen this before. They have to have been here before. That's an old soul.
That is an old, yeah.
Right? We hear that a lot. That's an old soul. And what that means is they have demonstrated a level of knowledge, experience, wisdom that you don't anticipate in someone of their age. Mm-hmm. So it's that same thing when you are building a business or building a career. Don't negate your wisdom just because you were wise when you were, I don't know, running a bakery and now you're getting ready to make shoes. You've still got wisdom related to how you make something, how you sell it, how you build it. You may need different tactics, But the basics you've got. That wisdom that you took time and most likely have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and scars to get it, is still valuable. Don't let anyone tell you that your wisdom is not valuable and that your experience is not valuable. And see, that's what happens in corporations. Because we sometimes forget as they continue to move and we continue to bring people in or move people out or whatever. And you start seeing these waves of people who've been more senior in the organization start leaving for whatever reason. We call it, the knowledge drain, right? Mm-hmm. And why they talk so much about knowledge transfer and making sure you don't lose that institutional knowledge. Make sure you don't lose those people who know what's been going on a long time. There's wisdom from those folks. Because, as we said earlier, when you talk about moving forward in your business and being able to deal with crises, being able to deal with surprises, that comes from having been through some of those. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that plants get to 0% safety incidents. There's a reason they get to 0 safety incidents. Mm-hmm. Because they have people that are experienced that can see things early and make a plan and make adjustments so that the catastrophe doesn't happen. That is experience and that is wisdom. Mm-hmm. Right? And the wisdom is understanding what you know and the experience you've had and then implementing it. That's the wisdom piece. So that continued 0 incidents is a beautiful thing to make sure people get home every day safely. It is also a challenge in that the longer you go and the more you cross over populations that are in your organization who have never experienced something that is hard or difficult or a surprise, the more likely the next one is going to be catastrophic because they don't have the wisdom to see something, know what to do, and then do it. That's what wisdom means. I see something, I know what to do, and then I do it. Or not do it, depending on what's necessary.
When you said that, I was thinking about, and I said this back to the women's group again, that I saw these ladies making porches and they made decks and they made ponds. And I said, after I sat down and took all the notes, I called the handyman.
Yeah, I saw that post. I saw that. Yeah, no. Here's what I want, but I also want somebody else to do that.
And I had the wisdom to know that, girl, you're not going to do all of that and see it all the way through.
I know.
So sometimes wisdom is saying, that's not my skill set.
That's not my deal.
Okay.
That's not my gift. I'm okay with that. Yeah, so just so y'all know, this outdoor living group is dangerous. Not have you spending all your money. But the solar lights and I can't with these women. It's amazing. And then I look at my little backyard, I'm like, oh, pitiful. So,
no. You got the hammock.
I got the hammock. I do have a hammock. So, when we look at that wisdom, as Jerry said, it is about knowing what to do and then doing it, but it's also knowing when not to. Sometimes wisdom is knowing to be quiet. Because sometimes your silence speaks louder than your words. And I had somebody say the other day, I think it was on a podcast, they said, if they don't hear your silence, they most certainly won't hear your words. Now that was good.
That is good.
Right? Because normally, when you get quiet, at least for me, when I get quiet, that's when people are like, uh-oh. Now, sometimes I'm quiet because I really am thinking. I'm discerning. But most of the time, if we've been in a situation where we're trying to get stuff done and it's moving and I get real quiet, I am trying to ensure that my words don't reflect the look that's probably on my face. Mm-hmm. And that they are truthful and kind, clear, and forward-thinking, as opposed to the words I really want to use usually in that moment that are not helpful or productive, right? But that silence is telling. And wisdom tells me sometimes I need to be quiet. So if you think about when you were growing up with your parents, they would yell and scream and all, if you were messing up. But when they got quiet, that's when you knew you were really in trouble. That's when you started apologizing, you started cleaning up your room, right? You started being nice to your siblings. When they got quiet, it was on a whole different level because they were done. They were done. They've been trying to talk to you. They've been trying to get you to do right. and you just wouldn't. So now they're done.
Mm.
And that's on you, right? You made the decision now.
That's true.
That's on you. They tried to tell you. And that's kind of from a wisdom perspective. When I get to that point where I'm really quiet, I'm like, well, I tried to tell you. We've had this conversation. I'm done now.
Yeah.
I'm done. So don't leave your wisdom and your skill and your knowledge and all of that stuff that makes you really great at what you do. Don't leave that at the door just because the thing you're entering into looks different. Don't leave it all at the door because it looks different. And we have a tendency to do that. We have a real tendency to say, and this is why companies can do this to people. We have a tendency to say to ourselves, oh, I've not done that before. I don't know if I can. And there's a population of people that'll try anything, right? Those folks that skydive and bungee jump and all that kind of stuff, which, Alana, if you're watching, I don't know that I'm going to make this skydive this year on my birthday. I'm still marinating.
You skydiving?
I've never skydived before in my life.
You're going to do it.
But I have a fear of falling. Not a fear of heights. You can take me up as high as you want to, but I have a fear of falling. Like I see, like edges, like the Grand Canyon, I can't get to the edge. I have a fear of falling.
I never went skydiving, but I'm pretty sure you got to fall. Huh?
You got to fall.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I should probably go skydiving. And so I told myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this year on my birthday. Yeah, I don't know. Because that now it's getting close, right? So like, I don't know. I don't know. And you know, COVID and everything, I just don't know that it's safe.
Yeah, that's falling. That's the best social distancing you can possibly do. Let me throw you over
Right, right. I'm like, yeah, I can't. COVID is keeping me from skydiving. So when there are a population of people that it doesn't matter what it is, they say yes to it. It doesn't matter. They're going to do it. They're going to try it because they want the experience. They want to learn. And those people may be daredevils too, and they may be a little reckless. Some of them, not all of them, but they may have some other challenges. But by being willing to say yes and being willing to try some things, they are also able to build their toolbox so that the next time something else comes up and somebody's looking for somebody who's done the thing, they've more likely done the thing than someone else because they just tried. They just tried.
You know, you said something about the wisdom. Don't think about your wisdom not being transferable. And I think a lot of times we see different situations and we don't even think about what we know how to do. Because I just told you, I said, did you like the mural in the back? You said, yeah.
Yes.
And I said, they were asking me, what did I want on the back of the thing? I said, I don't know. That's not what I do.
Right.
But when I went home, I sat for a moment and I thought about it. What if it was a stage? What was the backdrop? What would you want to see the backdrop look like?
Right.
Because I'm a producer. So sometimes you don't know that you have that transferable gift until you sit with it for a minute.
Right. Again, sit still. Sometimes you got to just be still.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be still. And I know for me too, when we're moving so fast, we don't give ourselves time to do that.
Yeah.
And when we're moving so fast and we're so busy, are we really busy? Are we productive or are we just busy? Because a lot of us can be busy. But are we really making things happen? Are we really moving the needle? Are we really moving forward? Are we making an impact or are we just doing busy work? There's a reason they used to call it busy work. Because it's not necessarily impactful or productive, but it's work.
Stuff.
Right? And so your wisdom also tells you when you're just being busy. And your wisdom also helps you understand not only who you are, but where you are and what you want. And to help you understand when sometimes we hit those places in our lives where we just need a minute. And your wisdom will tell you, you know what? I've been here before. This is a season. This is a season. I'm just going to have to give myself a minute.
It goes what you said last week about the pivot.
Exactly, with the pivot. You just got to know when it's a season. And you got to know yourself enough to know, yeah, this is a season, but something isn't right. Like I was telling somebody yesterday, I was like, I got to work on my energy. My energy feels really weird. I may need to start taking my B complex again or something because I don't like taking vitamins. I don't like taking nothing.
I told you need to B12.
I know. I don't do needles. So it's going to have to be a capsule. Yeah, don't do. My mother never had to worry about me being an IV drug user, honey. Because no. But there's a difference in, like, there's so much going on, so much change. There's a COVID stuff. There's just so much. And so I knew that some of the fatigue that everybody is experiencing is because there's so much going on. It's just heavy. It's just heavy. And we're all just tired, right? We're just tired of not being able to be normal. Yeah. We're just tired. But wisdom told me, I've been there before, and I've had that kind of fatigue before. But this feels different. This feels different. This is that kind of, if I get close to my bed, I'm out. I'm like, that's an energy issue. That's a, am I still eating clean? Am I getting enough water? Am I getting, that's different. And so your wisdom is broad and vast. It's not just wisdom about work. It's not just wisdom, about something that's tactical. Wisdom also comes into play when you decide where you're going, who you're going with. Because there are people that you love dearly, but there's some folks that you will go out to eat with, and there are other folks you don't. There's some people you will travel with, and there's some people you won't. There's some people that you want by your side when you wind up in some alley somewhere because you were lost, and some people you don't.
Because you be fighting for them. Yep.
And that's wisdom. And it's not that you don't love them and you don't like them and you don't like spending time with them. You just know who you need when. I'm just saying.
That's real.
I'm just saying. You need to know who you need when, right? And so as we move through all of these processes, all of this stuff that's happening now, because we're so covered over with stuff and we're having to make decisions, those of us in Southeast Texas now, am I leaving, am I not leaving, if you're not under a mandatory evacuation? If you're under a mandatory evacuation, please go. Just go. We all been here before. Just go. Yeah. What's meant to stay will stay. What's meant to be saved will be saved. If it's just stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's some stuff I have that I love.
Yeah. That
would be hard to replace. But I would rather be replacing stuff than trying to replace me. So just, if they're telling you to get out, please just go. We love you, but just go.
That's good.
But use this wisdom, even though it's overwhelming right now. Don't set it aside out of your fatigue. Don't set it aside out of your fatigue. You still have experience that can inform your actions. You still have gone through things that give you insight into what may be coming and how it may impact you or impact others. It's experience that informs instinct. Right? It's experience that informs instinct. We all have instinct. We all have those little antenna that go off, that say, "Ooh, something's not right. I don't think this is gonna work." They call it a smell test. That don't smell right. We all have that. What wisdom does is help you, one, feel when your antenna are twitching, recognize when your instinct to say, "Ooh, fight or flight" or something. And then understand when that's real and when that's not. If it's a new situation, if it's one you've done before, it helps you to be able to move in the way you need to move. And so when we forget that we do have levels of wisdom, and wisdom is not necessarily age related, y'all.
It's not.
Wisdom is not necessarily age related, because I know a lot of young people who got more wisdom than some seriously grown folks. So it is not age related. It is experience related.
It's good.
It is experience related. It is that ability to take my experience and have that inform my actions going forward. That's what real wisdom is.
And you can pray for it. That's my daily prayer. Give me wisdom beyond my years.
Absolutely.
Because then there's some insight that you can have that that you wouldn't even knowledgeable in that area or old enough in that area. So wisdom is important.
Wisdom is critical. Wisdom is critical because wisdom also, not only does wisdom enable you to do things that are forward moving, wisdom also enables you to set up ways to protect yourself and protect those around you. Again, it's that instinct that says, I've seen this before. I can see this train come. I was talking to the group I had on last night on the summit when we were talking about the first two secrets. And I said, there are many, many things that we've seen. It's kind of like watching a train wreck, right? There are times when you can see this coming. When you're talking about people, you're talking about your business, you're talking about anything that has to do with other folks and moving forward. If you're talking about your kids, right? There are times when you see that accident about to happen and you let it happen. And you don't let it happen because you want someone to get hurt, but you let it happen because there is learning in letting that happen.
That's good.
And wisdom says, I know enough about what's going to happen here that it's going to be painful for the person, but they are not going to be harmed by it. They're going to learn from it. They're going to grow from it, and they're going to be better able to address this the next time it happens. right? That's wisdom. That's wisdom. Seeing what's about to occur and then making a definitive decision about what you're going to do about it. And sometimes that decision is, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to let it happen. Because the value in the experience is greater than the potential harm that could come to someone. Now, of course, you're not going to let somebody just get hit by a train. I mean, you don't want that to happen. But it also manifests itself when we talk about mentors, when we talk about people who are really your supporters in an organization, or your mentor in business if you're starting a business. The people who are going to go out and say, hey, I know this person, she just started a business, you need to do business with her. She operates in full integrity, she knows her stuff, she's got high quality. You know, that's the kind of thing that, you know, you want people who are doing that for you. And those people who can give you the insight and the support so you can build your own wall of wisdom. Those are the folks you need behind you. Those are the folks you need in your village. Because they're not necessarily going to let you get hurt. They might let you stumble a little bit and skin your knees up, but they're not going to let you lose an arm. They're not going to let you lose an eye. They're not going to let you lose your life if they can help it.
You know, with this COVID season, it's a lot of loans and things and money being given in certain areas. And I was talking to a person the other day, and they said, well, I can get this building for this amount of money.
Right.
Dirt cheap.
Right.
I said, yeah, but here's the thought. How are you going to maintain it?
Right.
Do you have a job to maintain it after you get the loan? And do you realize the loan means you will have to pay that back?
Absolutely.
And sometimes people receive that, and sometimes people think that you're trying to hate on their dream.
Right.
But been there, done that. You know, sometimes that just because it's free, you still got to estimate. I remember one time the guy was trying to sell me a Hummer, and I was like, yeah, let's get the Hummer. But then I thought about it. The gas had shot up, skyrocketed. I'm not going to be able to pay to fill up the Hummer. So
exactly.
Those are the thinking process, and it's good to be around people that will ask you those hard questions.
Exactly.
Even in your excitement.
Exactly. I mean, I think there was something, and I know I'm going to get it wrong, but it was something like, you know, old people aren't necessarily wiser because old people aren't right because they're wiser or something like that, right? Because they're always right. It's because they've lived long enough to experience being wrong, right? It's not because they're always right. They've lived long enough to experience being wrong. And so to your point, when you talk about this payroll, and this is something I forgot to do last week on the PSA, so I'm gonna go back a minute. Jerry just talked about, you know, all the loans and all the forgiveness and all this. People, I need you to pay attention. I need you to pay attention to your payroll taxes. If you're still working and getting a paycheck from someone with payroll taxes, you know, there was relief for payroll taxes. They were not going to keep collecting payroll taxes under all of this the new funding and everything that happened. It was not the elimination of payroll taxes. It was a postponement of the payment of payroll taxes. Now, most really big organizations, it was going to be such a pain in the butt to stop taking taxes out of people's checks. My guess is they probably just kept taking them out. And whether or not they are submitting them or putting them in escrow somewhere, who knows, right? But it's probably in your best interest if they just kept pulling them out. And make sure you're keeping copies of your paycheck if they've been pulling them out, okay? But don't get it twisted. At some point, somebody's going to say, oh, and by the way, for these last 12 months, we need your payroll taxes back. Okay? Wisdom says, they didn't say we're forgiving payroll taxes or we're stopping payroll taxes. They said we are suspending payroll taxes. We've been here before, y'all. We have been here before. So pay attention. You got to pay attention to the words that people say. Words matter. Words matter. You got to pay attention to what people say. So use your wisdom when you're listening to people. Don't listen to respond. Listen to understand. Because most of us are listening to respond, especially when we're in a heated discussion with somebody. We're listening to give back our argument. We're not listening to understand what they're saying. And I got to tell you, if you're listening to respond, if you would just change and listen to understand, your response is going to be better. I'm just saying. Listen to understand, not listen to respond. And pay attention to the words that people use. Words matter. Pay attention to the words you use. Pay attention to the words you use for yourself. If you're telling yourself, I can't do this, I'm too exhausted, it doesn't matter, I'm not worthy, whatever that head trash is, stop it. Or find somebody to help you stop it. Okay? Because wisdom also says, when I'm not feeling quite right, I need to have the love for myself to find a way to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
It is not bad to be selfish, because you have to be a little selfish in order to be selfless. You got to take care of you. We only get one go round, y'all.
That's good.
You got to take care of you. So don't stop being concerned or stop paying attention or stop being discerning just because things look new right now. None of this is new. Nothing that happens going forward is new. Nothing. Nothing. Even if you look at products, if you look at phones, right? If you look at drones, if you look at all this kind of stuff, that stuff was on the Jetsons. That's not new. Somebody just built it. Finally. That's what they say. Nothing that comes around is actually new. It's just improved.
Because they didn't have checkout people at the grocery store on the Jetsons, now that I think about it.
They did not.
I do my homework.
They did not.
Yeah.
They were talking to people. That was the first Zoom.
Girl, you wise.
I'm just saying. Right? Nothing we're saying is new. So your wisdom is valuable. Your wisdom is valuable. You have seen this before. It may look different. It may have had green stripes and purple dots last time. But it's still the same thing if you pull the layers back. So don't underestimate yourself and your own wisdom, regardless of age or station, because that has nothing to do with it. Wisdom is about experience. Wisdom is about discernment. Wisdom is about listening and understanding. That's what wisdom is about. Wisdom is being smart enough to learn something and take that knowledge to implement it. Wisdom is implementation of what you've learned.
And knowledge not to overtalk the person that does have the wisdom, because I was just sharing that with somebody the other
Yep.
day. Sometimes you need to just listen because you
Mhm.
really don't know what you
Mhm.
think you know. And I've had to sit down because I thought about the times when my mom, when I thought she didn't know what she was talking
Right.
about, and I was trying to overtalk, and she said, just keep living.
Right. Just,
now-
oh, I love it. Just
yeah.
keep living.
So now I'm like, Mom, you
Yeah.
were right. You know? I
Just
kept
keep living. And sometimes it's in the small things, right? I remember, so my mom grew up here, and my aunt grew up in my grandfather's sister grew up in Louisiana. They grew up in Louisiana, way back in the woods somewhere in Louisiana, Negri, Louisiana. And
Negri.
I remember, yes, and my Aunt Creola was a home ec teacher. She was also an AKA, and she was Kiwi, and she was here one summer, and we came in, and she did pickles. She made homemade pickles, and I love pickles. And because she was home ec teacher, and I was bored, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this shirt. And the material happened to be plaid. And when I was in high school, I would make a lot of my clothes because I didn't want to have the same stuff that everybody else had, just cause. And so I had this plaid shirt, and I got my material out, I got my pattern out, I laid it all out, started cutting. She said, wait. Did you iron it first? I'm like, no, it'll be fine. No. If you're gonna do it right. If you're not going to do it right, just don't do it. I was salty. She made me wash it, then iron it. Then she made me lay the pattern out and draw the lines on the pattern so you can match the plaids. That's some work, y'all. I'm just telling you. For those of you who don't sew, if you see a dress or a shirt or pants or anything that's plaid, a coat, the stripes, plaid, and the plaid matches on the seams, that is worth the money. I'm telling you right now, because that is some work to match those plaids. And you lose a lot of material because you got to move stuff around to make sure the plaids match. Woo! But I tell you what, that ended up being my favorite shirt because it looked good. It fit well. It didn't shrink. The plaids matched. I got more compliments on that thing. Her wisdom was, look, I know from my experience that if you don't do this, you're going to be upset. You will have put in all this work and you'll never wear this shirt. You might wear it one time.
That's real.
But because I listened, even though I was salty and irritated, because I didn't have a choice because I was young, right? So I couldn't act up too much. it turned out to be one of my favorite shirts.
But here's the deal. You listened and you had an ear to hear.
Sort of.
Because what I said about not wanting to do the homemade projects is because I saw how much work it was going to be, and I just didn't even try to start it. But at least you heard.
Oh, no, I tried to stop. She wouldn't let me. She's like, no, you said you wanted a shirt. I was like, that's okay, never mind. No. Oh, yeah, I tried to just say never mind.
I tried to help
She was, right? She wasn't having it. She was not having it. But what that also taught me was sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. And as my dad used to always say, and I've said it on the show before, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, what makes you think you're going to have time to do it over?
Please say the slow to go fast again.
Sometimes you got to go slow to go fast.
Meaning,
take your time in the beginning.
Yep.
Because then you can move exponentially. Take your time to research. Take your time to understand. Take your time to get prepared, because then you can move so much faster. Now, you don't always have the time to do that, right? But anytime you do, you want to. Sometimes you got to be, quick and approximate. But when you have the time, it's better to go slow so you can move quicker. And move with more confidence, because you know what's going to happen. And you can plan for the things that are unexpected. I'm just saying. That's about being wise. That's about learning from past experiences and implementing that learning. So that you might still have something happen to you, but it won't be the same thing that happened before.
Right, that's good.
Right? So life is not perfect. There's always a potential that something's going to happen. You just don't want the same thing to happen over and over again. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So do different so you can get different. Don't do the same and then be upset because you didn't get different. Because that's crazy. That's just not how it works.
Again, wisdom is this. You said you would be willing to come to coach people in person if they're going to wear the mask and do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. You said you don't mind coming, we just got to do it right.
Exactly.
Now, no wisdom would have said I'll still come and then get mad when they don't have the things in place.
Right.
Okay.
Because see, that's on me.
Yeah, that's on you.
Because I didn't check. And wisdom is also making sure that's in a contract. So if I get there and show up and you're not right, when I leave and say, okay, well, I'm going to just go and we'll get on Zoom. We'll just change this. No problem. We'll just change this up. We're just going to do it virtually. They can't get mad because, see, we talked about this and we had it in writing. That's wisdom.
Good.
Been stuck there before. It is not unkind to be clear. I am very clear. I will absolutely do something in person. We all got to be masked up. And we can't be right up on each other.
That's good.
And we'll be waving from across the room. No handshaking, no, card pass. But I will be there in the room with you because there is energy in being together. Yeah. And I miss that. I really like being together with people. We just got to do it the right way. And if you're not willing to do it that way, I'm okay with that too. It is just fine. You got to do you. And when I know that, then I know how I can serve best.
That's good.
Because I'm good on Zoom. I can do that too. I prefer in person, but I have no problem doing stuff electronically. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Right? All right. So, as we wrap up this Talk It Out Tuesday with me and Jerry P. Beasley, I really want all of you that are listening, and I thank you again for listening. I know I keep saying that, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for this opportunity and for you guys actually listening and paying attention and listening to my diatribes here. Because I am trying to pass on what I have learned and what people have told me and to prevent pain and mistakes as much as possible. We're all going to make them, but if I can keep you from making the ones that I made, then I have done my duty. Because it's not worth it to just watch somebody do something that's really going to be painful when you can prevent it, or at least try to. You can at least tell them. Now they still have choices, but you can at least tell them. So as we wrap up, don't forget to vote and get prepared. Number 111. Number 1 and 100. Don't forget to vote.
What about the thing in your license, on your license? Don't you have to have
Oh, yes. Don't forget, you need your license. But you don't need that star on your license to vote. You need it to travel. Now, the star, the real ID rules. So make sure you have that if you don't have it. Although, I believe they suspended some of that, Jerry, because of COVID. Because if you don't have the little star on your license, you actually would have to go in and take a new picture and all that kind of stuff. They weren't just letting you get one, unless you were. I think if you were a senior, they were doing some of that. But most of us had to go in and get a new license. So I think they suspended some of that.
Okay.
And since hardly anybody's flying now, you know, because it really was about flying and being able to get through security. And hopefully, if you have a passport, you don't have to worry about it anyway. But you do need to make sure you have your ID and your voter registration. I always say just take both. Because you need to understand in your jurisdiction what's required. And if you don't feel like you have time or you don't trust them, take both. I always take both just in case, because you never know if you're going to get somebody who's inexperienced. I won't say who is spiteful and just trying to keep you from voting. I won't claim that.
Do you think people are leery now about mailing in their vote?
I think people are, because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
You know, even from people who work at the post office, you know, there's so much, there's always a little bit of truth in every lie. Right?
Yeah.
And so it is true that there are mailboxes that they've been pulling away. It is true that they are taking sorting machines out and all that kind of stuff. Those things are happening. That is true. However, how it looks, how it's being done, the impact of how it's being done, nobody knows. Nobody really knows, because the people who really know aren't saying.
Yeah.
So we do know, I do know that I have experienced mail is slow. I have personally experienced that. So that is happening. All of these things are happening. But the impact of them, how broad, how it's just, you just don't know. And you don't know how many people are delaying mail because they just want to. Now, I think that might be 0.5% of the people that work at the post office. I do believe that they really are called to make sure people get the mail. They understand the criticality of mail, especially those folks in rural situations, right? That's their lifeline. So if you are worried, the best way to alleviate worry is to get information and get it from reliable sources. Go to .gov. Don't go to .com. Go to, you know, the places that you know. Go to the U.S. Postal Service and find out what's going on and what you need to do. Go to your state. Go to your city. Go to places and find out good information.
Nita Thomas says, if I'm not mistaken, when my son renewed his license online, his new license came with the star. His old license did not have the star.
That's good. And I do know that some people were able to do that before if it's like right up to the date. But I know I had to, because of the deadline of when you had to get it done before you could fly, mine had to renew like a year. I had to renew mine like a year ahead of time. I had to go in. So just make sure you call. Make sure you call and check. As with everything, with things being so crazy right now, before you get in your car and go anywhere, pick up the phone and hopefully somebody answered. And just find out. Or get online or something and find out. There's no reason not to know stuff these days. There's no reason. Now, you do have to have wisdom to discern whether somebody's giving you a load of bull or it's real. So you do need to pay attention to that. But there's no reason to not know stuff these days. No reason to not get education. So get educated. Make sure you, I had my sorority sister who is a city council woman in Odessa, remind people, go down the entire ballot. Because it starts national, state, and local. Local is important. Local is where things happen. National does impact us all, but where you're really impacted is local. So when you go vote, make sure you are going down the entire ballot.
Is it true you can't vote straight anymore?
In Texas, they stopped the straight ticket vote, so you'll have to vote for every candidate you want to vote for, which is another reason to go get educated on every candidate. And read, y'all. Really read because again, I'm going to take the high road and say that there are the opportunities that there may be mistakes on the ballots. Okay. Now, some things might be intentional, but there are some opportunities where there are mistakes on the ballot. So make sure you know who you want to vote for. And then it's not even bad to kind of print out like the ballot. Mark who you want, take it in there with you. And then as you're doing the very end to double check that who you voted for is who's on there. You have all the time you need in the ballot box. Don't let anybody rush you out of the ballot box. Take all the time you need to make sure the votes you want to cast are cast. Okay?
And don't let nobody really push you not to vote at all, because you know these celebrities are coming out now talking about don't vote. You got Ice Cube talking about don't do it, and you got P. Diddy.
I need them to just sit down somewhere.
I want them to sit down somewhere.
You need to vote, y'all. You need to vote. If for no other reason than people, especially people of color, people died for you to be able to do this. So I'm not hearing not vote. I am not hearing not vote.
It doesn't matter because of the Electoral College.
See, stop it. Y'all hear me? Stop it. The Electoral College is a problem, But here's the thing.
Come on.
Had people actually voted, the person who won the popular vote also would have won the electoral college. So don't be talking to me about electoral college when 46% of people didn't even vote. I'm not hearing it. Figure out how to get your butt to a poll. So again, that's about wisdom. People take little snippets of stuff. Oh, it's the electoral college. It doesn't matter. The popular vote does matter because it informs the electoral college. And when you don't vote, you impact that. Stop it. Go get educated.
See how I did that? That's why I
You
it.
did, see? Woo! See, you get me fired up. No. So, love you guys. Use your wisdom. We are all wise beyond our years if we will just use it and own it and believe in it. Be wise. Pay attention. Oh, Lila said, don't be a low information voter. There you go. Go do your research. Every single vote matters. Every single vote matters. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you, St. Louis and Germany and California and Detroit and Carlsbad, California and Beaumont, Texas and Houston, Texas.
Cleveland, Texas.
Cleveland, Texas.
Spring, Texas.
Spring, Texas.
Missouri City.
And Missouri City.
Michelle Wilbur.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week. Assuming we haven't had some kind of catastrophe, me and Jerry P will be here.
Amen.
Y'all have a good one.
So please